Hello, welcome back to another TIFF 2014 review. Okay, I'm going to be reviewing Hungry Hearts, which was a really great film. I was not disappointed by this one. Sounded great in the program book, and it was great. Panned out. It's directed by an Italian guy named Saverio Costanzo, but it was set in New York City, and the vast majority of the film is in the English language. It's about this young couple who meet and fall in love, and she gets pregnant, and they have a baby together. That's the short of it, but a lot more happens than that, which I will get into. The two leads in this movie were just incredible. The guy who played the husband, his name was Jude. It's an actor named Adam Driver. Reminded me of Keanu Reeves, pardon me. And the girl who played his wife was an Italian actress, I believe, and her name is Alba Rohrwacher. So when the movie begins, it starts off in an amusing way. They meet because they're locked in a bathroom together in this restaurant. So they're kind of forced to have a conversation and get to know each other because they can't get out of this bloody bathroom. So it started off kind of funny in that way. But in the very next scene, you can see they must have fallen in love and gotten to know each other better because they're in bed together in this apartment. They're living together. She ends up getting pregnant, and they get married. So this movie was so different and had such a great story. It was just so absorbing, and there was great chemistry between the two of them. They had fantastic chemistry together. Basically, it's about her. She's an obsessive compulsive, and she is a vegan, and she is not feeding their baby properly. And as a result, their baby isn't growing properly, isn't developing properly, and the husband is getting more and more concerned and more worried about it, and then they start fighting. And basically that's what goes on through the bulk of the movie. Now, in the wedding scene where she meets his mother, and him and his mother have this kind of weird relationship, because when she introduces herself to Mina, the wife, she's like, well, me and Jude don't get along very well, but I just want to let you know, if you ever need me for anything, if you ever want to come and see me just by yourself, feel free. Don't bring him with you. Just, come by yourself. So you can tell there's kind of weird dynamic going on there between him and his mother. But anyway, so she gets pregnant, and in one of the scenes, early in her pregnancy, she goes to have an ultrasound in a hospital, and her husband's there, and the doctor's telling her, well, your baby really isn't growing properly, developing properly. What are you eating? And she's like, well, I'm eating this, I'm eating enough. And he's like, well, the baby needs proteins and, stuff like that to grow properly. So you have to make sure that you eat, this and that. And she's a very thin girl. She's a very slight girl, even underweight. And, he's telling her, listen, you have to eat certain foods for the baby to grow properly. So she's like, yeah, whatever. And then when they get home, she tells them, listen, I don't want to go to any more doctors, no more ultrasounds. I'm never going to have another examination like that again. I want to go see an alternative doctor, and I want to have natural childbirth and all this. So he's like, okay, he's on board with it. He's like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine with me. So she goes through her pregnancy, and then she has the baby, and she's in one of those tubs, those water tanks or whatever, where some women give birth, with a doula or whatever. She's trying to give birth in this water tank, and she's straining and straining. She's like, oh, I can do it. And they're like, no, we can't wait any longer. The baby has to come out now, so you have to have a cesarean. And she's really disappointed about this, but she has no choice. So she has a cesarean. She's in the hospital. She wakes up in her bed, and she's in obvious pain, and, she's straining to get out of bed, and she's slowly making her way down the hall because she wants to see her baby. And her husband comes in, he's like, what are you doing out of bed? And she's like, I want to see our son. Where is he? And he's like, well, he's having tests done. And I don't care. I want to see him right now. So, she insists, and she goes down the hall to this room and pushes her way past the nurse, and there's her baby in this incubator. And she's like, can I hold him? And the nurse tells her, well, he hasn't finished his test yet. And the doctor comes in, and he's looking at her he's not happy about it, but he's like, okay, you can hold him. He allows her to. But anyway, so then they go home and, you know, they're raising the baby together, and she's like obsessive compulsive. Like she, you know, you have to wash your hands before you touch the baby. You have to take your shoes off before you come in the house. She has all these like rules that you have to abide by, and she will only feed him like certain things, and the baby is running a fever for like a couple of weeks, and her husband's getting more and more concerned, saying, listen, I want to take him to a doctor. He's been running a fever for 2 weeks. And she's like, you know, you should trust me. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, he's going to be fine. Like, he has to learn his body has to adjust and burn the infection out, you know, naturally. Otherwise, he's always going to be getting sick and stuff like that. So she's got like this very, very... She's one of these mothers who's like ultra controlling and ultra, like she thinks she knows everything, and, you know, he has to have this diet and she won't allow him to have this and that and this and that, and her husband's getting more and more worried about it. So finally, he sneaks him out of the house one day, sneaks the baby out and takes him to the doctor who had given her the original ultrasound, and he tells him, listen, your baby is like way underweight, he's way smaller than he should be, he's not growing properly, he needs meat, he needs, you know, protein, he needs this and that, he has to be getting this properly, he's nutritionally deprived. And, so, you know, of course, you know, the husband and the father is like, oh my God, like, you know, okay, what do we need to do? So he takes him home, buys him like, you know, regular baby food, like, you know, meats and stuff like that. And he's, you know, shouting at her, saying, you know, like, you're starving our son, like, he's, you know, he's got to have this. And she's like, okay, we'll do it your way, but, you know, never yell at me again. But it turns out that what she does after every time he feeds him is she takes him into the bathroom and gives him like this laxative. So the baby still continues not getting enough nutrition and not growing properly and all this stuff. And it just keeps escalating and getting worse and worse and worse. And, so I'm not gonna go into any more of the scenes or tell you any more of the plot. I'll just say that this was just a totally absorbing movie. Such a great story, so well acted. It reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have heard of something called Munchausen syndrome, or I think it also is called Munchausen by proxy, where a mother like appears to be like this ultra dedicated caretaker, yet in the meantime she's actually harming her child, either like actually abusing it or, you know, like just making it sick or whatever, like giving it like, you know, poison and all kinds of like weird food and stuff like that. So she was kind of in that, you know, realm, right? And I'd never seen a movie about this before, you know, especially maybe like a TV movie, but never a feature film. I've never seen a feature film about this. And I just thought it was fascinating. And it was really riveting and absorbing and really well done. The only criticism that I have about it is the ending of the movie. I thought the ending of the movie was kind of a cop-out and kind of half-hearted and weak compared to the rest of the film. But I will definitely excuse it because overall it was so good. It was so well done and such a great film that, you know, I'll forgive the ending for not being perfect in my eyes. But it was really good. I highly recommend it. I hope you guys get a chance to see this. I don't know if it's going to come out in the theaters, but if you get a chance to see it on DVD or anything like that, or Netflix, if it happens to show up there, definitely give it a shot, give it a view, because it's so worth seeing. It's such a good film. Really good, really different and unique. And I appreciate that, you know, I appreciate, you know, good storytelling and, you know, good acting and all that stuff. And this was definitely, you know, fit the bill there. So yeah, 2 major thumbs up for this movie. It was great. Great. Okay, so I'll be back with my final review of TIFF 2014. Stay tuned.